I'm excited to announce that today's video is sponsored by Skillshare, an online learning community that offers thousands of engaging classes, but more on them in just a little bit. When I was researching video topics today, I noticed that Fannie Mae downgraded their housing market forecast through 2023. They actually revised their previous forecast, which was published in May of 2022. In any case, they provide some guidance or some predictions regarding home sales, home prices, and mortgage rates, and much, much more. And here's their forecast that they actually published. And they actually first talk about the Fed increasing the federal funds rate by 75 basis points. So it says here the Fed raised the federal funds rate by 75 basis points to a range of 1.5 to 1.75%, the largest hike since 1994. They're also projecting that the federal funds rate by the end of 2022 is going to be at 3.4%. That's actually up from the 1.9% in March. Jerome Powell stated that he does not expect 75 basis point hikes to be common this year, but either a 50 or 75 basis point hike will likely be appropriate in July when they meet yet again. And here's what Fannie Mae had to say regarding this rate hike from the Federal Reserve. The Fed's 75 basis point rate hike was higher than our official forecast. And according to Fannie Mae, they believe we still have a near-term inflation risk, which I think all of us would agree regarding that. And therefore, they believe that rates could go even higher than the meeting expectation of 3.4% by year end. So in other words, the Fed is saying we're going to be at 3.4% by year end for the federal funds rate. But according to Fannie Mae, they believe that could be even higher by year end. Also, according to Fannie Mae, for the housing sector, second quarter construction is trending slightly above their expectations. So even though we're starting to see some decreases in housing starts and also permits pulled for residential construction, it's still above their expectations for second quarter. Fannie Mae also believes that construction is clearly slowing, but not free falling. And builder confidence went down yet again this month, the sixth consecutive month of declines, by the way. Also, builder confidence decreased yet again this month. This is the sixth consecutive months of decreases of builder confidence. And therefore, Fannie Mae is saying residential construction will continue to slow. Fannie Mae is also predicting that the housing market is predicted to drag on growth through 2023 as financial conditions tighten. Also, the compounding effects of elevated inflation and, of course, rising mortgage rates are expected to further weigh on economic growth and home sales as the year progresses. And now Fannie Mae is saying that substantially higher mortgage rates are now the housing market's primary constraint. And on that bombshell, a big thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Skillshare offers thousands of inspiring and creative online classes for anyone who loves to learn, just like myself. If you have a skill you're trying to master in 2022, then Skillshare is the perfect place to start. As you guys all know, I'm passionate about creating YouTube videos, and I'm constantly looking for ways to make my content better for you. I found a great class from Ali Abdal, who, by the way, has 3 million subscribers on YouTube. He had a ton of useful tips about how to grow a YouTube channel, including how to set up the perfect lighting. Believe it or not, I film all of my videos using my iPhone 13 Pro directly in front of a window. But Ali suggested filming at a 45-degree angle to help reduce the glare from the window. Great idea. The first 1,000 people to use the link in the description below will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So get started today for free to begin your creative journey. Again, a big thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video, and let's get back to it. All right, so going back to this forecast from Fannie Mae, it says again the following: substantial higher mortgage rates are now the housing market's primary constraint. Total home sales are going to fall by 13.5% in 2022, at least that's what they're forecasting. And that's down even further from their 11.1% projected decline last month. So in the previous housing market forecast for May, they were calling for a 11.1% decrease in home sales in 2022, but now their new and revised forecast is calling for a decline by 13.5% this year. I 100% agree with Fannie Mae that rising mortgage rates is the main constraint with our housing market right now. So let me give you an example. I give you guys an example regarding a $400,000 house, but let me give you an example regarding a $600,000 house and what your housing payment would be in January of this year compared to right now. So for January of this year, mortgage rates were approximately 3.3%. If you're going to buy a $600,000 house, putting 20% down, your mortgage payment is going to be approximately $2,102 per month. Fast forward to today, at the time of this video, mortgage rates are around 6%. again, the same $600,000 home, putting 20% down, your new payment is going to be $2,887 per month. So in other words, to buy that same $600,000 house on January 1st of this year compared to now, that's going to cost you $785 more per month to buy that same house. And according to Doug Duncan, who's Fannie Mae's chief economist, he said we have persistent broad-based inflation and tightening financial conditions are slowing economic activity. And consumers are drawing down savings and increasingly relying on credit cards as they seek to maintain current levels of consumption. And he goes on to say the following here: the significant sudden rise in interest rates is beginning to be felt widely. Nowhere is this more evident than in housing affordability measures. As a result, both the new and existing home sales continue to slow, while refinance activity has fallen substantially, with what's left largely consisting of equity extraction. In other words, the only people that are refining right now are those who want to do a cash out refi to get equity out of their houses. And Doug Duncan continues on to say the following here. It says, our view continues to be that the magnitude of response that's needed from the Fed will likely result in a recession. And they currently believe that this recession is going to be modest and occur next year. However, the recent market response to continued heightened inflation suggests that the predicted recession could be much sooner and be deeper than our current baseline forecast. In other words, because inflation is basically at 40-year highs, and of course the market did not respond favorably to the Fed increasing the federal funds rate by 75 basis points, Fannie Mae is saying that a recession could occur much sooner and be much worse than their current forecast. And here's a table showing Fannie Mae's housing market forecast for the remainder of 2022 into 2023. So they break this down by housing starts, also single family and multifamily housing starts, as well as total home sales, as well as the home price index or home prices according to Fannie Mae, and then they forecast for mortgage rates as well. So let's first talk about total housing starts, which by the way, these are seasonally adjusted annual rates. And total housing starts, of course, include single family as well as multifamily properties. So for total housing starts, they are forecasting that to decrease each and every quarter through 2023. So for 2022, for the Q1 2022, we had 1.7 million total housing starts in the US. So as you can see here, Q2 decrease, every single quarter after that, they decrease. So by the end of 2023, they're calling for 1.2 million. Now we're at 1.7 million, the most recent stats we have from the US Census Bureau. So for 2021, total housing starts increased by 16%. But look at that, 2022, they're calling for a 3.5% decrease in total housing starts. But look at 2023, big decrease by 16.3%. So basically look at 2021 versus 2023. 2021 up 16%, but 2023, they're calling for a decrease by 16%. So in other words, a delta of 32%. Also, have a look at this, single family housing starts. As you can see here, it also is decreasing for every single month through 2023. Single family housing starts for the entire year of 2021 was 1.1 million. That's a gain of almost 14% year over year. But for 2022, they're calling for an 8.2% decrease and therefore having just over 1 million housing starts for single family houses in 2022. But look at 2023, a big decrease of 15.3%, far different than the 13.8% gain we had in 2021. For multifamily housing starts, it's more or less the same, except they're calling for a slight increase in Q2 of this year. But after that, they're calling for a big decrease. As you can see right here, 21.8% increase for multifamily housing starts in 2021. And that's decreasing to a gain of 7.8% in 2022. Quite a bit different than the 8.2% decrease for single family houses. But look at 2023. This is the big uh-oh. In 2023, a decrease by 18.2%. Fannie Mae is also calling for a big decrease in total home sales across the United States as well. So for new single-family houses, they're calling for a decrease by 12.1% this year, whereas in 2021, we had a decrease of 6.2%. Also, they're calling for an 8.3% decrease in 2023 as well. And for existing single-family houses, and by the way, these are for new single-family houses, a decrease by double digits in 2022. In contrast, though, for existing houses, in other words, not new houses, they're calling for a decrease by 13.6% in 2022, a big difference when we had an 8.5% gain in 2021. Also a big decrease by double digits as well, by 11.6% in 2023. In regards to home prices, have a look at this. This is Fannie Mae's Home Price Index, which is basically an index based on home prices. So for Q1 of 2020, that index was 20. Then look at the trajectory here. Decreased to 15.9, 12.9, and then by Q4 2022, decreasing to 10.8%. So in other words, they're calling for their index to decrease by 50% from Q4 of this year compared to Q1 of this year. Also, look at 2023, giant decreases when we're talking about double-digit gains in 2022. Look at this though, decreasing greatly each and every quarter. By the time we get to Q4 2023, we're at 3.2. So for the entire year 2021, their index was 19.1. So they're basically calling for almost half that at 10.8 for their index for 2022. But look at 2023, basically decreasing again by a big amount, down to 3.2. So when you compare 2023, looking at housing starts, home sales, as well as the home price index, giant decreases compared to 2021 and giant decreases when you compare that to 2022. What I also found to be very interesting is our forecast for mortgage rates. So for Q1 of this year, the average mortgage rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage is 3.8%, but they're calling for that to increase to 5.1% in Q2 of this year. But have a look at this because they're calling for mortgage rates to more or less be flat all the way until the end of 2023 and potentially a small decrease in the last half of 2023. So overall in 2021, the average mortgage rate was 3%. In 2022, they're calling for a 4.7% average mortgage rate. And then in 2023, they're calling for the average to be 4.9%. Here's Fannie Mae's forecast for single family mortgage originations. And they actually break this down by purchases and refis. And by the way, all these figures here are in billions of units. So right here for refis for 2021, we had $2.6 trillion worth of refis in 2021. But look at their forecast though for refis. In 2022, they're calling for $797 billion worth of refis in 2022, and that's going to be going down to potentially $518 billion in 2023. So far lower than levels we saw in 2021, which is no big surprise because mortgage rates have been increasing greatly, right? But have a look at purchase originations. This again is when a home buyer uses a mortgage in order to buy a house. So for 2021, we had $1.86 trillion worth of mortgage originations for purchases. So we're calling for that to decrease to $1.8 trillion in 2022, and then to decrease further by just under $1.7 trillion in 2023. And again, thank you so much for Skillshare for sponsoring today's video, and check out that link below if you want a 1-month free subscription on Skillshare. And comment below with your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, if you guys got any value out of today's video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.